Hello everybody and welcome to this series of e-learning lectures, prepared to help you develop competencies related to ESP, English for Specific Purposes. This is lecture number 3. Branches of ESP. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to define and use the main branches of ESP. If you have not been here before, then, welcome to UNIV-ENGLISH channel. If you do like videos like this, then make sure to hit the subscribe button, and also smash the notification bell, to receive notifications when I produce more videos like this. Also, let me know down the comments, what are the difficulties you are facing right now, so I can use your ideas for future videos. It is widely accepted that English has become the language of choice for many international communities. The growing demand for English to communicate, in academic and professional contexts, has led to the development of English for specific purposes. In the modern world, English has become the language of not only science, but also aviation, computing, diplomacy, and tourism. The trend is on a rise with the principle of a common market, with the free movement of goods, services, labor, and capital. The teaching of English for specific purposes, ESP, has been considered as a separate activity within English language teaching, ELT. It is believed that ESP has developed its own methodology, and its research draws on research from various disciplines, with the aim of preparing learners to communicate effectively, in the tasks prescribed by their field of study or work situation. The expansion of demand for English, and the maturity of ESP through time, new multiple views concerning its subdivision. Different types are proposed by the linguists in the field of ELT, English language teaching, to suit specific needs of a given profession. Types of ESP. David Carter, 1983, identifies 3 types of ESP. 1. English as a restricted language. Mackay and Mountford, 1978. Clearly illustrate the difference between restricted language and language with this statement. The language of international air traffic control could be regarded as special, in the sense that the repertoire required by the controller is strictly limited, and can be accurately determined situationally, as might be the linguistic needs of a dining room waiter or air hostess. However, such restricted repertoires are not languages. Just as a tourist phrase book is not grammar. Knowing a restricted language would not allow the speaker to communicate effectively in novel situation, or in contexts outside the vocational environment. The language used by air traffic controllers or by waiters are examples of English as a restricted language. Restricted language is a reduced form of a language. Some registers are extremely restricted in purpose. They thus employ only a limited number of formal items and patterns, and are known as restricted languages. M. A. K. Halliday et al., The Linguistic Sciences and Language Teaching, 1964. Such a system is often artificial and highly specialized, created and used with a particular end in mind. 2. English for academic and occupational purposes. The second type of ESP identified by Carter, 1983, is English for academic and occupational purposes. In the tree of ELT, Hutchinson and Waters, 1987. ESP is broken down into 3 branches. A. English for science and technology, EST. B. English for business and economics, EBE, and C. English for social studies, ESS. Each of these subject areas is further divided into 2 branches, English for academic purposes, EAP, and English for occupational purposes, EOP. An example of EOP for the EST branch is English for technicians, whereas an example of EAP for the EST branch is English for medical studies. Hutchinson and Waters, 1987, do note that there is not a clear-cut distinction between EAP and EOP. people can work and study simultaneously. It is also likely that in many cases the language learned for immediate use in a study environment will be used later when the student takes up, or returns to, a job. Page 16. Perhaps this explains Carter's rationale for categorizing EAP and EOP under the same type of ESP. It appears that Carter is implying that the end purpose of both EAP and EOP are one and the same, employment. However, despite the end purpose being identical, the means taken to achieve the end is very different indeed. I contend that EAP and EOP are different in terms of focus. On Cummins, 1979, Notions of Cognitive Academic Proficiency versus Basic Interpersonal Skills. This is examined in further detail below. 3. English with specific topics. The third and final type of ESP identified by Carter, 1983, is English with specific topics. Carter notes that it is only here where emphasis shifts from purpose to topic. This type of ESP is uniquely concerned with anticipated future English needs of, for example, scientists requiring English for postgraduate reading studies, attending conferences or working in foreign institutions. However, I argue that this is not a separate type of ESP. Rather, it is an integral component of ESP courses or programs which focus on situational language. This situational language has been determined based on the interpretation of results from needs analysis of authentic language, used in target workplace settings. Hutchinson and Waters subdivision, 1987. They proposed one of the most well-known and useful theories regarding English language teaching branches. With the tree of ELT, they divided ESP into three types. A. English for Science and Technology, EST. B. English for Business and Economics, EBE. C. English for Social Studies, ESS. Each type is concerned with specific field of scientific knowledge as technology, business and economy, or the social fields in general, with its various and large amount of human sciences studies. Additionally, each of these is divided into further sub-branches. English for Academic Purposes, EAP, and English for Occupational Purposes, EOP. An example of EOP for the ESS branch is English for Psychology, whereas an example of EAP for the ESS branch is English for Teaching. They claimed that a tree cannot survive without roots. The roots which nourish the tree of ELT are communication and learning, p.18. Besides, Hutchinson and Waters consider that ESP is traditionally divided into two main areas, according to when they take place. 1. English for Academic Purposes, EAP, involving pre-experience, simultaneous in-service, and post-experience courses. Pre-experience or pre-study course will omit any specific work related to the actual discipline or work, as students will not yet have the needed familiarity with the content. The opportunity for specific or integrated work will be provided during in-service or in-study courses. 2. English for Occupational Purposes, EOP. For study in a specific discipline, pre-study, in-study, and post-study, or as a school subject, independent or integrated. Yet Hutchinson and Waters' classification of EAP and EOP is rather unclear. That is why further clarification is needed in order to distinguish between them. Conclusion: the classification of ESP courses creates numerous problems by failing to capture fluid nature of the various types of ESP teaching, and the degree of overlap between Common Core EAP and EBP and General English. For example, Business English can be seen as mediating language between the technicalities of particular business and the language of the general public. Pickett, 1989, which puts it in a position between English for general purposes, EGP, and Specialist English. Therefore, some authors suggest, Dudley Evans and St. John, 1998, The presentation of the whole of ELT should be on a continuum that runs from general English courses to very specific ESP courses. Despite the array of labels for ESP, there is a traditional agreement division into two broad subfields: English for academic purposes, EAP, involving academic study needs, and English for occupational purposes, EOP, involving work-related needs.